Hello, everyone. So I am Yash Toshi, Senior Product Manager here on this application. We met last time. I think most of you were present. Myself and Arsh, we presented. We gave an overview of threat insights, like reporting. We also demoed like log viewer. So we'll start with the demo of threat insights. So like just give some background around it. Like a network security admin's goal is to keep like the network secure. And this includes like monitoring and investigating any threats seen in the network and making required configuration changes to address gaps and to tighten security. And today, like one of the ways we are doing this, like admin can accomplish this is by analyzing the threat logs. However, to understand the impact of threats better, admins need to manually correlate data across multiple sources like traffic logs, threat logs, etc. And this is a very time consuming process and can lead to admins missing crucial threads that they need to look into. And thus, we have actually carved out an exclusive home in the product that enables network security admins to get a holistic view of all your threat landscapes, as well as your security investments with Palo Alto Networks. So as you can see on the UI that I'm sharing, it gives an idea about like all the different kinds of like C2, malware, phishing, grayware, sensitive data, and like we can look into like all the top threats, top users, top rules that are affected by this. So let's look into it a little bit more detail. And the aim of this dashboard is to give like a full 360 view of all the threats that we are detecting in your environment, along with like which of these are getting blocked. We even show you which users and applications are impacted, and tied down to the action rules that are allowing or blocking threats in your environment. So the right panel that we see over here is we see like an overview of all the like top threats over here. So these are like the top three that are actually being impacted. If we see like the top users, how many threats were impacted by this user, and then the top rules that are actually allowing this threat. So we can actually go and make changes to these rules so that we can like remediate it. So if I want to look into more detail, we can go into like, let's say, for example, if you are interested in like malware, I'll click on all the like threats that were allowed and we can dig deeper into it. So now in this case, the category that we have selected is malware and action is allowed. And if we don't have these filters on the top, we can actually select any particular license if we are interested in like wildfire or URL filtering, and we can change the time frame. So we have a lot of different filters that we can filter the entire data on this page. So we can see like how many threats are there. So there are like, we have 600 threats that were detected in the last 24 hours. How many users and applications that are getting impacted? So we can see in this example, when the malware was allowed in the network, as well as what are the file hashes that are contributing to this. It also provides all the impacted applications and like the most impacted users if user ID is enabled, and which are the specific rules that are allowing malware in the security policy configurations. So let's look at like the dashboard, right? So if I want to take a look at all the threats, so then I can click on go to all threats, and it will give me like a visualization with like the table and all the threats that are actually over here, and how many users were impacted, what was the threat ID, what was the category of this threat, and which license of yours actually caught this. So we have all this information available over here. So going back to the previous view, we can see like the total impacted users. So if I go to this view, it actually gives me the list of all the users that were impacted. So over here, it said, I think there were 2 users. So it gave me this username for that user and category and license, all the information. And then if I go back, I can go into like all the impacted applications. So this gives me a list of all the applications that are actually impacted by the risk category. So I also can actually filter in the table. Like if I am interested in looking at like all the top high risk ones, medium risk ones, low risk ones. So I can filter and like sort the table based on that data as well. So now going back to the previous, in this view, we actually see like the trend line and at what particular time like the threads were allowed and blocked. So we get like an overview of idea at what point of time like we are actually getting all these threads. And if we move down further, it is showing like the top 10 threads that are actually were detected in these 24 hours and which are the users impacted. So we can like drill down and do more information. And this is an overview of like the most impacted applications as part of the dashboard and users and impacted rules. So now going back to the threat insights, we can go into the protection summary, which is like the next tab over here. So in the 360 view, we see that it is divided by these different malicious categories, but in the protection summary, we are actually dividing it by all the CDSS subscriptions. So we can view like the breakdown of all these subscriptions that you have in your deployment. And then if we want to drill down into like a specific, let's say, for example, wildfire, and if I want to click on allowed threats, then it will give me all the data related to this license wildfire in the last 24 hours. So all the like applications and users, everything that was impacted related to the wildfire, and like then all this information will be reflective of the same. So now going into the next portion, which is the executive summary. So this is a good pivot to see executive summary where we show how your security subscriptions are protecting you. So let me go into over here. And peer data gives you perspective on your industries like threat landscape, and for the subscriptions you're not using, it shows you where you might be exposed to these threats. So if we see here on the right side, the data is loading. So on the left, we are seeing like all the active subscriptions, like for example, like the advanced threat prevention, the 1 million like threats were blocked, the URL filtering, like 2.1 malicious URLs were seen. And then on the left, it shows us information like, for example, that we processed like 22.7 TB of your traffic and monitored like 143 applications that we have used in the past 90 days. And then we have done analysis on top of this to give detailed insights. So if we move down over here, so this is, we can see like the application usage, which gives you visibility into like the web and non-web app usage in your network. And not just that, but what is the industry average, and shows like all the high risk applications. So over here, we can see like high technology industry averages 65, but we are seeing like more. So do we want to take any action and information like that? So here we see like all the top high risk applications. What is the risk factor? Is it very high? And then I can go and look into like more insights, which we'll go into shortly. So now moving into the advanced threat prevention widget, which scans all the traffic for exploits, malware, and C2 activity to protect against threats. So it tells you how many threats were detected and how many were blocked and how many of these were like critical, high, or like medium risk. So if I click on the threat name, it will take me to the log viewer, which we actually saw last time. So it says that, okay, 1 million like threats were detected and we blocked all of these. And what is the risk factor if anything escaped? So we are giving all the information over here. And then we can go into the log viewer and drill down into more information as well. So now going into the next section, which is the URL filtering, which gives us a highlight view into how many URLs were visited and how many out of these were malicious. So over here, we can see that 445 million were seen, and out of which 2 million were malicious. And like if we go over the chart, for example, over here, we can see that on like the week of 31st May, we had approximately like 1 million malicious URLs in the network, and 64 million URLs were seen in the network. So we can drill down information on the weekly basis and see like how many URLs were seen and how many were malicious out of that. So moving down into the wildfire, which helps us identify and protect against like unknown, like file-based threats. So, well, looks like I think the file-based hackers are maybe on leave because there is like no, just kidding. So yeah, there is no like malicious verdicts for like the 6.7K wildfire submissions. So this is the data. So now let me move to the top portion over here. So we have multiple tabs over here to drill down into like more insights. So if we go into the advanced threat prevention, so it shows us like a trend line view of like how many were allowed or how many were blocked given in this like time duration that we see. And then moving into URL filtering, like which all categories were seen in like during browsing. So it gives all the information and like what are the top URL categories, like top 10. And then if we go into the widget below, it is showing us like all the malicious URLs that were seen, like what is the breakdown for it, like 92% of it is malware, and then remaining is like phishing and grayware. So it is giving us that good drill down as well. And it is showing the top 10 malicious URLs over here. And then I can drill down and do more analysis, which will do a demo of this shortly. And now moving down, this shows like all the high risk URLs. So with high risk, it means like they were not identified as malicious, but they can like exploit us to like another threat or something like that. And that's why it belongs to this high risk category. And it shows us like which are like the top 10 high risk URLs over here. So now we see wildfire over here. So I think this would be like a good way to move into like the detailed analysis of wildfire, which we have over here in the left navigation, which we see wildfire dashboard. And wildfire, like as we know, helps us against malware that's concealed in like files, executables, and email links. So first widget over here is telling us about how many samples were submitted in like the last 24 hours. And the widget on the right, which is about the session trends, where we can show like the trend in malicious detections with respect to time, so that we can see at what date and time there were like more malware detected. So I can like play around with this widget and check like, okay, how many were malware, grayware, benign. If I go into the action, then it tells like, okay, what was the action like allowed and blocked for this particular thing. And then on the left, it is showing like all the samples. So it is showing that the 740 like sample submissions occurred during the last 24 hours. And there was like a 30% increase. So we submitted more samples today compared to the last 24 hours. So now moving into like the next widget, which is the interesting insights, which tells us about like how many signatures are generated in the selected time frame, which is 24 hours, and how many of these were unique to your network. And this is like the information that it is providing. And the next widget is subscription, which is telling like more details about like when is like the subscription expiring. So now this is the next widget, which is the verdict distribution. We can see which of the sample types are concealing malware. So as we can see that there are approximately 251 PEF files, out of which 238 are like malware. So here we can see that this is 238 was identified as malware. 2 is grayware, 11 is benign in this PEF files. For Linux files, like 106 total Linux files, out of which 103 is identified as malware. So this is showing us all the different file types over here, and we like are showing it as like whether it was identified as malware, grayware, or benign. So this widget gives us like that insightful information. So next widget is about like the top 10 samples. For example, like if there were like a lot of like malware detected, what are like the top 10 ones that I need to look into uh, and to do like more analysis. So if we hover on this name, it will take me to IOC search, which I'll demo shortly once after this dashboard is done. So if I scroll down, we have top applications, top users. So we can see that like the top applications that are used to deliver malicious samples, top 10 users that are frequently targeted to deliver malicious samples in your network. And below we see that the top regions that sent or received most malicious samples. So if I hover over here on US, it shows me that 9,133 malicious submissions were done from United States, which is like 39% of like all the total submissions across the globe. So this is a wildfire dashboard. I'll move into the next dashboard, which is DNS security. So if we look at the DNS security dashboard, which protects your network from advanced threats that use DNS. Without DNS security in place, malware might have infiltrate your network through malicious DNS requests and remain like unnoticed. So if we look at the first widget, it shows like the total number of DNS requests in the past 24 hours. And it shows that there was 134% increase in today that we have seen compared to yesterday. So we are seeing like 4 million DNS requests. And on the right, if we see, it is showing the malicious DNS request widget to show how many of these 4 million were malicious. So we see that 146K were malicious, out of which like 65K were malware, like then C2, phishing, grayware. So we are actually categorizing those and showing like how many were into which category. So moving into like the next widget, if we see, this is about the category trend widget. So we can see how many of the DNS requests were seen on what particular date and time. And if I move into like, or if I hover over here, then it gives like additional insights into at this particular time, like what was like the amount of DNS requests. And if I move to the action, then it gives me insights into like how many were allowed, how many were blocked, how many were like sync hold at a given particular time. So it is giving that information in this widget. So moving on to the next widget, which is the distribution across action. We can see and examine each of the malicious categories and how many were allowed, blocked, or sync hold for malware, grayware, C2, and all different categories. So this is like a very cool visualization to understand with respect to the numbers. Like let's say if 65K were malware, how many were sync hold, which is 57K, and how many were allowed, how many were blocked. So this is giving a very good view and understanding of like all the DNS requests that are being sync hold. So now, as we saw in the wildfire dashboard, these are again like the top 10 like domains that we saw over here. And then it is showing benign over here, but we can add any action and category of malware or malicious. So then it will update the data accordingly. So moving into like the last widget over here, which is about the DNS resolver, which helps us monitor malicious and suspicious DNS resolution activity in your network. Here you can view like the top DNS resolvers that resolve to malicious domains and the resolvers that are resolving to a suspiciously low number of DNS requests. So if we see here, there is a way to dive deeper into this by clicking on these search icon. So if I go here, and this is taking us to our last section of the demo, which is the IOC search. So let's say, for example, this is like one benign data. Let me take another example of the domain, which is this one. So it says that the verdict over here for this particular domain is C2, and when was it first seen, when was it last seen, it gives us all the information as well. And then what is the categorization of this domain? Like, was it categorized at C2 or was it categorized something else? And it shows that history over here as well. And then it is showing also like the who is information, like what, when was the creation date, what is the expiration date, what is like the registrar for this domain. So it is giving us all this information as well. And then like the domain history in your network for the past 30 days, what is the history about it? And then like the passive DNS history about this domain as well, like when was it seen and what was like the actual domain. So this is about the domain. We can take one example for a file hash as well to see detailed insights about the wildfire. So let me search this. So if we see over here, I have pasted a file hash. We can actually use like a lot of different ways in the search, like IP, domain, URL. So we are supporting all these features in this IOC search. So this is the summary of this file hash that I have executing, which is like the verdict is shown as like malware. And if I see like the file hash history, like the total seen are approximately 18K. And what does like the file hash trend look like? And then if we want to dive deeper into like what was the analysis done. So here it is telling us that, okay, what are the different environments were infected by this? So it can be like Windows 7, Windows XP, it can be like Mac OS, like all the environments where it could have possibly infected. We will show all those environments over here. And then if we drill down, what were the behaviors that were seen? So like there was like a create file action, write to file, delete file, and then we also can drill down deeper into like what exactly was done with this file. It also tried to like modify proxy settings for Internet Explorer, delete itself. So there are like a lot of different things that were actually tried with this file. So this is a very cool and useful visualization as well. So here, if we see that this was the original exe file that was actually like executed. So if I click on this, it gives me more information about this file, like what were the actions that were taken. So copied itself. And then if I come down, it also takes screenshots while the wildfire sample analysis was being done. So we can actually get more information like what like did this particular file try to do in our environment. So moving into the file analysis, here it says that this was the verdict. If we think that this is not the case, then we can actually request it to be changed, and then it will go for analysis and the team will analyze it again based on that. So in wildfire, what happens is there are three different ways or the file is being like analyzed. So first it goes through like static analysis, where there are like a lot of different algorithms that run for a particular like file. And let's say if we detected something, then we actually show the verdict over here itself. But let's say if it was not able to find something, then it will go again into like the another algorithm, which is like the dynamic analysis. And then if it caught something, then we show here like, okay, and what is like the confidence that we have for this analysis. We also show that information as well. And then there is like a third category which will show up, which is the advanced wildfire. If you have that subscription, then we also show details about HVDA and advanced wildfire subscription over here. And yeah, I think this is like, it shows like network sessions and coverage, all the information as well. So like all the related sessions that were associated with this sample. So we can see all that data over here as well. So just to do like a summarization, we started with like the session from like threat insights, showing like a 360 view of all the threats and CDSS subscriptions. Then we moved into like the executive summary to know like the value of all these subscriptions that are providing for your organization. And then we took a detailed look at wildfire and DNS security. And then we checked the IOC search just now, which is giving extremely detailed insights on any domain, URL, file hash, or like IP search. So I'm guessing most of you would already be using these features, but if you're not, then definitely like take a look. Some of these features are available in Prisma Access and some need a premium license. So you can reach out to your sales rep and SE and we can connect further on it. So yeah, thank you everyone for joining in from different parts of the globe, and let me know if you have any questions.